March 15, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is how I saw the charts today. Looked like it had in the pre-market, which is this gray area, looked like it rallied, then it had a really sharp sell-off. There are two pieces of two times economic data stuff came out. One was at 5:30 Pacific Standard. It's about right here. Now here, it didn't look like it really did that much. And then a little bit later, about 25 minutes later, the market sold off pretty strongly. So here was the Empire State Manufacturing Index at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. And then at 7 a.m., which is about right here, it kind of had a really small reaction here, but this is the preliminary consumer sentiment. And I don't know, it didn't really seem to do all that much. So how I drew the charts was one leg down, a bounce, a more gradual shallow leg down. There are a lot of little swings in here. Then two legs up, a measured move, two legs up, and then a kind of a gradual sell-off here, which is this yellow channel, a consolidation area here, one final break, and then a rally and into a trading range. I took a total of 2 trades today. They're both green. There were a few other setups that I saw that I think were worthy trades, but I also felt like I didn't really want to push my luck. So I kind of left just with my 2 trades and then just watch the charts for the rest of the day. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. I didn't put out a video yesterday, but I did take some trades. And yesterday, I think I got like 4 winners. Maybe I'll make a video of it, but I was, after trading yesterday, there was quite a few things that are happening outside of trading that I had to take care of, so I was never able to get a video put through. But I do have it in my notes, in my journal, but I don't know if I'll put the effort in to make that video. The pre-market, it looked like it was going to be range bound for this small little time, but then it sold off. And when I saw this big steep sell-off, originally I had my trading range pre-market highs and pre-market lows here, but they didn't really, let me just kind of zoom out very quickly. Pre-market lows was right here, but it didn't respect it too much. And then it broke down, and I dragged it down to here right around when this happened. And then it kind of moved up. And that kind of comes into play later because I thought there was a potential trade setup I'm going to discuss. So it sold off here, takes a bounce, breaks the orange channel, and makes a new low. This is pre-market, so I'm not ready to trade here. It creates a new low of the day, opens. First entry short, second entry short. This isn't a good signal bar, so there's no trade here. It kind of starts falling into what I think is a slow up channel. So I draw this yellow channel here, but there's no clean setup that I particularly like. Breaks out of this yellow channel on this green, so I'm thinking it might test the highs here. It doesn't. It breaks the green and tests the green's low. So now I'm thinking the downtrend might have played out. This might be 2 legs. This could be starting a push back up to test the highs here. It doesn't. It keeps moving down and it hits this consolidation area. No clean trades that I can see. Bounces up, comes right back down. So here I drew this as a potential resistance, and I wasn't sure where the bottom was. It actually was a little bit higher here to touch here and here, but then it broke out, kind of chopped a little bit. It touched twice. So at this stage, I did think I'm in a red channel. Saw a new high, first entry long, but it's all you get. You do get a second entry long here, but it's below the EMA. Overall sentiment is going bearish, so I did not want to take a long here. But I wasn't ready to take a short either, because you can see this red dotted line is the low of the day. And it's already pressing really close to the low of the day. Prices move. EMA is holding prices down pretty well. Chops around. There's kind of another new low here. First entry short. This is a pretty decent signal bar for a second entry short, but it's inside this bullish bar. You could argue that the EMA is holding prices, so maybe there's a trade there, but I didn't feel comfortable with it. I wanted something a little more bulletproof, because this is also a very tight range. It's only about 3 to 4 points. So asking even for 1 point scalp when the candles themselves are about 2 points, 2 to 4, it's asking I think it would be a little dangerous. Prices then continue moving down. So it's confirming this red channel, at least this bottom support, pretty well. You have a new high here, first entry long, pullback. Technically you have a second entry long here, but when you see this in real time, this doesn't look convincing enough to go long because EMA is starting to hold prices down. It did come from the bottom, but it hasn't really made it back to the top yet, at least with the trading trend channel that I drew. So it felt a little risky to try to take this. Prices then continue moving down, breaks out of this red channel. So there's an overshoot here now. So I'm thinking maybe there's going to be enough for a reversal to come up and touch the other side here. The first entry short. It's too late for a second entry short, but it did come up and touch the top of this red channel. So I'm thinking, okay, is it going to break out to this other side? Pulls back, makes a strong push up. Nothing that I particularly like. So at this point, this is when I dragged my pre-market lows from where it was here, my cursor. I brought it down to here. I did see one leg up, chops around, creates a first entry long here once it breaks above. Here it's about to create a second entry long. So this is actually where I take my first trade. When I saw this in real time, I like what I was seeing because I'm thinking the downtrend was very shallow. So I'm not too concerned about it making a new low necessarily. It came from an overshoot. It broke out of this purple up channel and it's kind of consolidating. So there was no strong knee-jerk push back down into this red range. EMA was acting as a resistance before, and now it could potentially act as a support. And I like this trade because after the break of this purple channel, it made one attempt up, pull back. This could be the second attempt up. I also like that it moved one tick below and then reversed itself pretty strongly back up. So it looked like it was trying to push back down, maybe below the EMA, but it pushed itself back up. I like this trade, so I got my order ready. I put it at one tick above these two double, these two double tops. Was able to get in, get my quick scalp. I tried to run it. I tried to trade it with a runner, but then I moved it one tick above my entry just to cover commissions, and I got stopped out. So there was no runner here. Prices then continue moving. It's in this consolidation area, and I also saw this as a big visual first leg down, push up, second leg down. So after this break of this purple, it looked like it tried two attempts down, but then it also made one attempt up. Technically, it tried one here, but the bigger visual is one attempt up, pull back. This could be the second attempt up. Now, the second attempt up, seeing this, I was definitely not thinking getting a trade ready. I wasn't even thinking this was necessarily a range yet. I drew this after the fact. But when it closed very strongly like this, I thought, wow, this is a pretty strong move. Maybe there is a trade here, but I was a little slow on the trigger and it just kind of went without me. So it did create and touch the new highs of this purple channel. So the uptrend I think has played out. Is a new low here. It's a first entry short. Technically is a second entry short when it broke below this guy. And here I did draw this as a potential resistance, and I wasn't too sure where the bottom support would be. I had it kind of a few places, but I ended up here, and I thought this might have been a fail breakout. And it kind of made a matching breakout here. So it came back. It made first entry long, also first entry short, second entry short, failed second entry short. But this isn't a very convincing signal bar, so I didn't quite like it. But here it creates a first entry long. This is potentially a second entry long. Now this, strangely enough, looks like this kind of pattern right here because it went a first entry long, second entry long. The signal bar ticked one tick below, then reversed strongly. It happened here as well. It ticked one tick below and then reversed strongly. But not only that, this one is an even more bullish bar than this one because it opened near its high, bounced around, and it pushed pretty much all the way back up. So I like this setup. So I said also a lower high here. So it's a first entry short, second entry short, higher low. I misspoke, higher low, not lower high. It's a first entry long. Second entry long hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'm pretty sure it's about to be confirmed. And even though it's potentially running into this resistance, I'm seeing higher lows each time. So even though this could be in a range, I wasn't too concerned about this yet because I thought this may be one leg up, two legs down, and then one push up, and then this could be a second push up. So it moved up, now confirm my second entry long. I like this trade, but I didn't want to enter up here. I want to make sure I kind of got out before, it hit too much resistance here. So I actually put my trade order ready to be right here at the highs. And I entered one tick above this double high, this previous one, to save a little bit of risk. And then it flashed up, was able to quickly get out, and then it flashed down. I tried to do another runner on this, but it got stopped out early. Now, I will admit, this is running into the possibility of this top of the range, but at the time I wasn't too sure I really was in a range. There is certainly a resistance here, but I thought there might have been enough power to push back up. Plus I have the EMA acting as support here. So this is a little more riskier of a trade. Then once it pushed down, and I thought, okay, I was definitely lucky with this trade. Prices move up, and it chops around. And coincidentally enough, it's kind of funny because this setup here, where it pushed up and then flushed back down below this guy, happened right here. So it's kind of like a mini repeat pattern. One push up, second push up. I also took the same trade, but then it flushed down. And if I stuck around for more than just that 1 point scalp, I likely would have gotten stopped out. Prices move up, kind of hits this consolidation. And here it makes the second leg of this measured move. So what I noticed is, because I was playing around with this pre-market and total range, and I ended up here right around when these candles are printing. I put it right here, and I noticed this is the midline. And then when this happened and it was consolidating, I drew one leg up, consolidation. I think there's another move up. So I saw a measured move, and this is pretty much the 50% halfway point. So I thought there's going to be some kind of resistance here. Turns out there isn't really a clean second entry short, but based upon the strength of this halfway point and the measured move completing, if you took this trade, it looked like it would have worked out pretty well. I think I would have considered taking the trade if this signal bar had closed very bearish way down here. But I was a little unsure, decided if I was going to take a trade, I needed a higher or lower high confirmation to go short. So here it creates a new high, first entry long, pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long. This is a terrible signal bar, but you can think about using this as a signal bar. But what I don't like about this trade is even though the signal bar is good, you're running into this potential measured move resistance as well as the halfway point on a very bearish day. It pushed down really strong and it was continuing to push. Then it made two legs up. I wasn't really sure what I was seeing, so I definitely had to leave it alone. Let's say first entry long, second entry long. The second entry long has failed. Potential triple test. And I thought, this potential triple test, there might actually be a trade here because it actually closed below the EMA, but I wasn't too sure. I like that it moved 2 ticks above, then it flashed down. So it's a good signal bar for the second entry long, but it is good failure for it because it pushed really strongly below. And it's coming off a potential triple test. So I'm not sure about the market bias at this point. And I decided, if I wanted to take a short, I needed to wait for a lower high confirmation just to be super sure. And the lower high technically happens right here, but I don't like this lower high because it's just too neutral. If it closed much lower, then I feel a little more confident that prices were going to come back down, but it didn't. And it just gets a little choppy, moves down. I did see a new low. First entry short, second entry short, confirmed second entry short here. This is a possible trade. It's a decent signal bar. Follow-up trigger bar is pretty good. There's enough room to the lows. And the EMA is starting to hold prices down. I didn't have this yellow down channel drawn at first. I was actually playing with various other channels. I had stuff going on like, let's see, why is it this mark? Here we go. I had stuff like this. Then I thought maybe it's actually here. I actually started it closer to here. I thought maybe it's really more sharp there, but I wasn't too sure what was going on yet. But then definitely you have a trend coming down. At this point, I do draw this as the top of a trend line coming down. This was actually a little higher, and I treated this as a breakout. Comes back down. It's dwelling quite a bit outside here, and I didn't like that, so I dragged it down to here. It looked like it fit better. So I have 1, 2, 3 confirmations, 1, 2. No setup that I particularly like. Pushes above, has this overshoot, comes back down. The first entry long, and technically I have a second entry long, but there's no setup here. There's just too far from the EMA. You would not be thinking of going long on a clearly bearish bias. Chops around, creates these big candles. I don't really like anything here. Feels dangerous. This is an almost setup. It's like a first entry short, second entry short, and fortunately it's an inside bar to this guy, and it closed pretty much not bearish enough to even, warrant any kind of consideration. But it creates a lower high here. So what I do like is it's a new low here. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short, Second entry short is also first entry long, second entry long, and the second entry long here could be about to fail. But when I drew this yellow channel, I treated this as an overshoot, never quite made it to the other side. I was thinking there might be a potential trade here. It's confirming the yellow down channel. There is a rejection by the EMA. The signal bar is pretty good. There is enough room to the bottom, and it might be first entry short, second entry short failure, but it's creating a lower high, and it could be a new high, first entry long, second entry long, failed second entry long potential. But I was seeing this, I was a little confused. I wasn't quite sure, but it is going bearish. So this probably was a trade, but it's be more aggressive. And I probably have to see more setups like this to feel comfortable seeing this next time take this trade. But I'm okay at skipping this. I didn't feel too much FOMO. Prices then continue moving down. It kind of hits this consolidation area. It's a new low, first entry short. Second entry short, this is a bad signal bar to go short on. The trigger bar confirms second entry short, but it didn't move below this guy. So it feels like it's a little bit stalling out. Flashes up. So at this point, I was debating the validity of my yellow down channel. So I actually drew this blue trend line that you see here, but I couldn't get the bottom to fit very well, very nicely clean anywhere. Because maybe it's here and I have some overshoots here, or maybe it's actually down here. And this is what I was kind of having these overlapping channels at the time. It was a little confusing. I had a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, failure, new low, first entry short, second entry short. Now, this might be a possible trade, but the thing is, if you drew this blue down channel, then you have a fourth confirmation, which would give you another key entry point besides the two already. That is the first entry, second entry short, and failed second entry long. I like that it moved one tick above and then flashed down. It is in the top of this trading range, so you have quite a few things going for it. The thing that kind of stopped me was it's a it's like what I called an almost trade. I wanted this signal bar to close a little bit more bearish because it looked like buyers pushed it more than halfway back up, or halfway, you could argue, and it looked like it wasn't strong enough to keep going down. Now, keep in mind, you do have the few other key entry points, but I wasn't even that sure about this blue one coming down. So I wasn't sure, so I kind of had to just skip it. And this wasn't a good signal bar for a second entry short. First entry short, this would be your signal bar for the second entry short. It's not very good. It did confirm second entry short. So it was just like you have a bunch of things going for it to go long, a few ideas of going short. It just wasn't dominating one way or the other. Looked like it would have worked if you went short. Prices then pushed down. So here, it kind of looks like it's obeying the blue, but then it pushes out. And the yellow definitely isn't in play anymore. So maybe the yellow was more valid up here, and maybe the blue is more valid down here. No setups that I particularly like. The first entry long. Now I saw this and I was looking at it and I was thinking EMA is holding. I saw first entry long pullback. This is the signal bar for the second entry long. It's an inside bar. It's bearish. There's no real trade here, but once this one flashed down and moved up, if you were quick enough and you saw this as potential support here, you might have taken this trade, but I didn't mark it. I saw it, but I wasn't sure what I was looking at till after the fact. But I don't think this is anything, this isn't conventional. So I don't think there was a trade here. Even if you're aggressive, it felt very risky. You just have to trust that, it ticked down and engulfed all the way up. And definitely, I wouldn't want to take a trade after this close. And if you did, it looks like it would have failed and you would have gotten a loss. I did draw this purple up channel. It looked like it's confirming here, but it felt like a lot of confirmations here. So I kind of treated it as one touch, two touch. In a bind, if the setup was really clean, then I would say, okay, one touch, two touch, three touch. But at this point, I'm just thinking maybe there's just two touches here. Comes up, and I think, okay, this kind of fits pretty well. There is some kind of confirmation at the ties. Comes back down, it touches the low. You have a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. I like that the second entry long moved below the signal bar and then made a double bottom and flashed up. And at this point, you could argue that it is a third confirmation of this purple up channel. The thing that kind of kept me out of this trade, even though it's a possible trade, I saw like two legs down. I wanted a stronger close of this signal bar because I also thought potentially this is a yellow down channel. It's like 2 legs down for sure, but there also could be a bigger down channel. And it felt like it could easily break through this purple because this resistance might be too strong. If this had closed higher, then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's going to break out and it might be pushing through the EMA. So then it does happen on this candle. So I think if I were to enter, I would have waited for this one to close, and I still probably would have waited, probably put my entry 1 tick above this guy and hope I got filled. Now it's debatable whether this candle would have picked me up or not, but it would have saved a little bit of the risk, and I think I would have been okay with that. Flashes up. Now you have 2 clear legs down. Downtrend of this yellow channel is played out because it broke, made a new low. It's probably moving back into the purple, pushes through really strongly. Nothing particularly good. This is a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Now, maybe there's a trade here. I like that this engulfed this red candle and it moved 1 tick below, but also that it moved 1 tick above. Now, I think I would have readily jumped on this trade if the close was right at the high, but it actually closed and matched the high of the previous candle. So that gave me a little hesitation. It did bounce off the EMA and it is bouncing off and looked like coming back into the purple channel. The thing I also didn't like is I wished this had gone up and touched the top side of this. Then I would think, okay, touch to the top, back to the bottom. Enough momentum had pushed it up to the top. Maybe there's going to be enough momentum to have it travel back to the top again. But it didn't do that. So I was a little bit hesitant. I felt like I was unsure. So I wanted to wait for a higher low right at the EMA to feel confident taking this trade. So here you do get your higher low. So it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Your second entry short hasn't failed yet because you technically still have the second entry short. You do have a higher low. It is bouncing off the purple again, but one thing that was throwing me off is if you look at the setup, it failed to make this high. So it failed to really push back. So it's bounced once, bounced twice, and looks like it's kind of losing like a basketball after you let it drop. The first bounce is bigger, second one smaller, the third one smaller. So that kept me out of this trade. But I think if you're more aggressive, you probably could have taken this trade. It's also closed a little neutral for me. Ideally, if it closed up here, then I would have gotten an order ready. And then of course, then it works, but that's okay. I wasn't too sure, a little unsure of the setup. Prices then kind of chop. Looks like it's kind of falling into this range, but this is not a very clean range. Prices then continue moving. Excuse me. It breaks through. It has a fail breakout here. Comes back up. I saw this. I saw this new low. It's a first entry short pullback. I was thinking maybe there's a second entry short here because it broke out, fail breakout, pushed up, already hit the ties, came back down. It looked like the push up failed and closed back low, but then this is an inside bar. And then when this closes a second entry short, I was thinking, did I miss a trade? I kind of marked it, but I didn't label it. And I'm okay with skipping this because I don't think there was really anything of high probability here. Because if you wanted to go short, yes, you could. You could say that it's going to push back down. Your stop is going to be kind of pretty tight up here, but I just wasn't too sure what was going on. Prices then break down and below. It's kind of getting toward the end of the day now. Makes a new low. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. It's an inside candle, though. I don't really like that. You kind of have some kind of support here, but this is the last 10 minutes of the day. If this is occurring during a different part of the day, maybe I would, no, actually, I wouldn't see any good trades here as well, even if it was like earlier in the day. And it just gets kind of whipsaw because from here to here, there's clearly more than 10 candles, but there's only 10 minutes. So there's a lot of, I guess, trades going on, just kind of closing out the day. So it's kind of how I saw the charts today. Took 2 trades. One of them was, I mean, I got out on both of them very luckily because I was just only going for 1 point scalps, so my runners didn't work. But then there were a couple other trades here that I thought were probably worth it, or if I had more chart time, more seat time, I might have recognized it earlier and felt like there was a trade there. But unfortunately, I didn't. So some of those ended up working out, but I have it in my notes now. So hopefully that was helpful.